Let's begin where most men refuse to look, because the truth sits there, quiet and uncomfortable. It sounds insane, but the way women want to be treated is not the way they describe in conversations, not the way they post online, not the way culture rewards you for behaving. The modern man is taught to listen carefully, adjust constantly, soften every edge, and translate every emotion into accommodation. He believes attraction is built through compliance. He believes desire grows when he becomes easier to be with. And slowly, without noticing, he trades his center for approval. What he doesn't understand is that attraction is not a negotiation. It is a reaction. Women do not fall for how carefully you listen. They respond to how grounded you are while listening. They don't attach to how much you give. They attach to what it costs you to give it. They are not moved by how adaptable you become. They are moved by what in you refuses to bend. This is where men get confused and angry because it feels unfair. You did what you were told. You were attentive. You were patient. You were emotionally available. You showed consistency. And still, something faded. Her energy shifted. Her tone changed. The warmth cooled. Respect slipped quietly out the door while you were busy trying to be good. The mistake is not kindness. The mistake is unconditional kindness without self-regard. It sounds insane, but women want to feel you have a spine before you have empathy. They want to feel that your warmth is a choice, not a reflex. That your presence is offered, not leaked. That you are capable of withdrawal, not desperate for closeness. This is not cruelty. This is biology reacting to structure. A man without internal structure creates emotional noise. He asks too many questions because he doesn't trust his direction. He explains too much because he fears disapproval. He gives reassurance too early because he is afraid of losing. And none of this feels safe to the feminine nervous system. It feels unstable, even if it looks gentle. What feels safe is not softness. What feels safe is containment. Containment is the ability to remain yourself under pressure, to hear emotion without surrendering your position, to offer affection without dissolving your standards, to remain calm when tested, not because you are cold, but because you are not ruled by impulse. This is why women respond to men who decide instead of ask, not because women want control taken away, but because decision signals orientation. A man who can choose a direction communicates that his life is already in motion. A man who constantly seeks permission communicates that he is waiting to be animated by someone else. It sounds insane, but hesitation kills desire faster than mistakes. Women do not need perfection. They need orientation. They need to feel that when tension appears, you do not collapse into explanation or defensiveness. They need to feel that when conflict arises, you don't disappear into silence or explode into emotion. They watch how you handle pressure long before they listen to what you promise. And here is the part most men resist. Women want you to treat them as an addition, not a rescue mission. When you center her too early, when you reorganize your life around availability, when you offer emotional depth before she has shown emotional responsibility, you reverse polarity. You turn attraction into obligation. You make her feel like the axis of your existence, and no one wants to carry that weight. Not because she is heartless, but because it feels unsafe to be someone's only ground. It sounds insane, but women want to earn access to you. Not through games, not through cruelty, through behavior, through consistency, through respect, through showing up without entitlement. When access is free, it is not valued. When attention is unlimited, it loses meaning. When your energy is always available, it carries no gravity. Gravity comes from limits. A man with limits does not need to announce them. He lives them. He does not argue when crossed. He removes himself. He does not negotiate his dignity. He adjusts his investment. He allows consequences to speak instead of lectures. This is the treatment women respond to instinctively and deny verbally. calm firmness, emotional clarity, selective warmth, a sense that you are not trying to win her, but seeing whether she fits into a life that already has direction. And here is the quiet truth beneath all of this. Women want to be treated in a way that forces them to rise, not relax into complacency. They want to feel chosen, not indulged, desired, not needed, respected, not worshipped. The moment you treat her like a prize, you turn yourself into a contestant. The moment you treat yourself like the standard, the dynamic changes. This is not manipulation, this is alignment. The insane part is not that this works. The insane part is that men are taught the opposite. They are taught that love is sacrifice before selection, that presence means constant availability, that masculinity must be softened to be acceptable. And then they are shocked when attraction dies in the very environment they carefully built. Most men never realize the moment attraction dies because it doesn't die loudly. There is no explosion, no dramatic exit. It fades through small permissions you give without noticing. You tolerate behavior you shouldn't. You explain yourself when silence would have carried more weight. You stay present when distance would have restored balance. And slowly, the dynamic tilts. It sounds insane, but women do not want unlimited emotional access to you. Unlimited access removes tension, and tension is the invisible thread that keeps desire alive. When everything is available, nothing is felt. When every feeling is processed immediately, nothing lingers. When you are always there, you stop being experienced. This is where men misunderstand emotional maturity. They think maturity means absorbing everything without resistance, being endlessly understanding, never pushing back, never disrupting comfort. But emotional maturity is not absorption. It is regulation. It is knowing what you allow near you and what you keep at a distance. It is deciding when to engage and when to disengage without drama. A man who engages with everything teaches a woman that nothing costs him anything, and what costs nothing carries no weight. Women watch how you respond to friction, not the big moments, the small ones, the delayed reply, the disagreement, the mood shift, the boundary test disguised as humor. These moments reveal your internal order. They reveal whether you are reacting or choosing. It sounds insane, but women want to feel that you can lose them and remain intact. Not because they want to leave, but because they need to feel that you are not surviving on their approval. A man who cannot withstand loss becomes cautious. He starts managing emotions instead of leading interactions. He trades truth for safety, and safety without strength becomes suffocating. This is why emotional self-control is so attractive. Not silence, not coldness. Control. Control means you do not rush to clarify every misunderstanding. You allow space to do its work. You do not chase emotional resolution when tension is productive. You do not soothe discomfort that is meant to reveal character. Most men kill attraction by rushing to repair things that didn't need fixing. Women are not fragile puzzles that break at the first sign of discomfort. They are perceptive beings who read how you handle discomfort. When you rush to fix, you signal fear. When you stay grounded, you signal confidence. It sounds insane, but a woman feels more secure with a man who can say no calmly than with a man who says yes anxiously. The anxious yes communicates dependence. The calm no communicates self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of respect from others. This does not mean being rigid. It means being selective. You don't need to block warmth. You need to aim it. Warmth without direction feels chaotic. Warmth with structure feels rare. A man who treats every woman the same becomes predictable. A man who adjusts his investment based on behavior becomes intriguing, not because he is playing games, but because he is responding to reality. This is where the real shift happens. Women do not want to be treated like royalty by men who feel beneath them. They want to be treated with dignity by men who stand on equal or higher ground psychologically. When you pedestalize her, you shrink yourself. When you honor yourself, you create polarity. Polarity is not dominance, it is difference. It is groundedness meeting emotion, direction meeting intuition, stillness meeting movement, and polarity disappears the moment you abandon your own rhythm to sync entirely with hers. It sounds insane, but women want you to keep your life moving even when they enter it. They want to feel that your purpose existed before them and will continue regardless of them. Not because they don't want to matter, but because they want to join something alive. A stagnant man clings, a moving man attracts. This is why over-availability kills desire, cancelling plans too easily, reshaping your schedule instantly, responding the second she appears. These behaviors communicate that your life is waiting. Waiting is unattractive. Motion is magnetic. Women do not want to be your destination. They want to be a meaningful stop on a journey that already has direction. And here is the uncomfortable truth most men avoid. Women want you to treat them in a way that protects your dignity first. Because when you protect your dignity, you protect the relationship from resentment. Men who abandon themselves eventually punish the woman for it, subtly or directly, through withdrawal, through bitterness, through emotional debt. A man who stays aligned never needs to punish. He simply adjusts. This is the treatment women respond to instinctively. Not indulgence, not sacrifice, alignment. Most men believe attraction is created by effort, by doing more, by giving more, by proving more. And this belief quietly sabotages them because attraction is not built through accumulation. It is built through contrast. What creates contrast is restraint. It sounds insane, but women pay more attention to what you withhold than to what you give freely. Not because they are manipulative, but because the human mind assigns value based on scarcity and intention. When your attention is always on offer, it carries no signal. When it is directed deliberately, it becomes felt. This is where men misunderstand consistency. They think consistency means always being emotionally available, always responsive, always agreeable. But true consistency is internal, not behavioral. It is the consistency of values, standards, and self-respect. A man who is internally consistent can afford to be externally flexible. A man who lacks internal consistency becomes externally rigid or excessively accommodating. Women sense this immediately. They feel when your kindness is grounded versus when it is compensatory. They feel when your patience is strength versus when it is fear of loss. They feel when your listening is presence versus when it is submission disguised as empathy. It sounds insane, but women want to feel that you do not need to be liked in order to remain yourself. Needing to be liked makes you predictable. Predictability removes intrigue. Intrigue is not mystery for its own sake. It is the natural curiosity that arises when a man is not broadcasting every thought, every feeling, every intention in real time. Oversharing kills polarity. When you narrate your inner world constantly, you remove depth. Depth requires silence, space, unspoken confidence. A man who trusts his presence does not rush to explain it. This is why women often pull away from men who are emotionally transparent too early. Not because transparency is bad, but because timing matters. Depth revealed without foundation feels premature. Intimacy without tension feels hollow. It sounds insane, but women want to feel earned closeness, not instant access. Closeness gained gradually carries weight. Closeness handed over immediately feels disposable. This is also why emotional dumping backfires. Sharing struggles is not weakness. Making her your emotional regulator is. A man who cannot hold his own emotional weight asks her nervous system to carry it. That creates pressure, not bonding. Women want to feel that you can face life without leaning on them for stability, that you choose them, not rely on them. And here is where most men quietly fail. They confuse intensity with intimacy. They escalate too fast. They invest too deep. They attach before observing. They treat potential as proof. And when reality doesn't match the fantasy, resentment follows. Attraction does not survive resentment. It sounds insane, but women want you to slow down. Not in action, but in attachment. They want to feel that you are present without being consumed, interested without being invested prematurely, open without being dependent. A man who moves slowly internally moves powerfully externally. This slowness communicates discernment. Discernment signals value. Value creates attraction. This is why men who rush often lose, while men who remain composed often win without trying. The composed man is not detached. He is regulated. He experiences desire without surrendering to it. That balance is rare. Women respond to it instinctively because it feels safe without being boring, strong without being controlling, warm without being needy. It sounds insane, but women want to feel that you could walk away without bitterness. Bitterness reveals attachment to outcome. Freedom from bitterness reveals abundance of self. When you know you will be fine regardless, your energy changes, your voice steadies, your eyes soften, your reactions slow, and she feels it. This is why men who fear losing women often lose them, while men who are prepared to lose them often keep them. Readiness to lose is not indifference, it is self-trust. Self-trust is attractive because it removes pressure. Pressure kills desire faster than disinterest ever could. When a woman feels she must manage your emotions, she withdraws. When she feels free to choose, she leans in. It sounds insane, but freedom is the strongest form of seduction. Not freedom from responsibility, but freedom from emotional coercion. Freedom from being needed to validate you. Freedom from being the center of your existence. A woman does not want to be the meaning of your life. She wants to be welcomed into a life that already has meaning. And this is where everything quietly aligns. When you stop trying to create attraction and start protecting your internal order, attraction appears on its own. When you stop asking how to treat women and start asking how to live correctly as a man, the answers reorganize themselves. It sounds insane, but women want you to treat them as a reflection of how you treat yourself, not in words, in posture, in patience, in what you tolerate, in what you walk away from without anger. The feminine mind is constantly scanning for one thing beneath all interaction. Is this man internally governed, or is he emotionally outsourced? A man who governs himself does not need rules for women. His life is the rule. His direction filters who can enter it. His standards regulate how close someone can come. He does not punish disrespect. He does not dramatize disappointment. He adjusts his presence. And that adjustment speaks louder than confrontation ever could. This is the treatment that feels insane to apply because it feels passive to the ego, yet powerful to instinct. You stop chasing clarity. You stop chasing reassurance. You stop chasing emotional resolution. You allow space to reveal truth, and truth always reveals itself when you stop interfering with it. Most men talk women out of attraction by over-managing the dynamic. They ask too much, explain too much, fix too much, react too much, and in doing so, they remove the one thing attraction needs to survive: polarity. Polarity exists when two stable energies meet, not when one dissolves into the other. A woman does not want to absorb you. She wants to feel you, and she cannot feel you if you are constantly bending, softening, and reshaping yourself to fit her emotional weather. It sounds insane, but emotional leadership is quiet. It is not dominance. It is not control. It is not force. It is the ability to remain centered when emotions rise, to remain respectful when tested, to remain silent when words would weaken your position, to remain warm without becoming porous. This is why women respect men who do not argue their boundaries. They simply live them. When you stop needing to be understood, you become easier to trust. When you stop needing to be chosen, you become more desirable. When you stop needing validation, you become magnetic. Not because you changed tactics, but because you stopped leaking need. The real transformation happens when you internalize one truth. You are not here to convince anyone of your value. Value that needs persuasion is already lost.
Real value is assumed through behavior, consistency, and self-respect. The moment you start auditioning, you signal that you do not believe in your own worth. Women sense this before words form. This is why the men who attract effortlessly often say the least. They are not mysterious, they are resolved. Their calm is not emptiness, it is fullness that does not need to announce itself. It sounds insane, but women want you to be less available emotionally and more available internally. Available to your mission, your health, your craft, your discipline, your growth. When a woman enters that world, she feels the gravity of it. She feels that being close to you means stepping into something structured and alive. This is what creates longing, not attention, not validation, not effort, direction. And here is the final truth that settles everything. Women want to be treated in a way that reminds them you are not afraid to lose them, not because they want to leave, but because fear distorts behavior. Fear creates compliance. Compliance kills polarity. A man who is not afraid to lose is free to choose, and choice is the foundation of desire. When you treat her with respect without pedestalizing her, warmth without worship, interest without attachment, you communicate something deeper than attraction. You communicate self-sovereignty, and self-sovereignty is irresistible because it cannot be taken, only joined. So stop asking how women want to be treated. Start living in a way that would make you respect yourself even if no one was watching. Let your life move, let your standards speak, let your presence be calm and unnegotiable. The insane part is not that this works. The insane part is that once you understand it, you realize attraction was never something you had to manufacture.